Good morning, children. I hope all of you are doing good. It's nice to see you all through this virtual class. Today, in our virtual class, we're going to start the first unit given for you, and we are going to start the first unit with a prose lesson. The prose lesson, which has been given to you, is The Portrait of a Lady, written by Kushwant Singh. You can see the lesson displayed on your screen. Well, before we go into the lesson, let me explain the topic to you. The portrait of a lady. So it signifies a portrait, a picture of a lady. Now, there are many women who are very important in our life. It's always our mother, of course. It might be a sister, and one person who is very memorable and more caring, whom we often forget to remember, is our grandmother. So here the author recollects the role played by his grandmother in his life. He is getting all the sweet memories which he spent with his grandmother. So that is what is the title, The Portrait of a Lady. That is what Kushwant Singh wants to portray in this lesson. So before we start the lesson, let us know something about the author. That is Kushwant Singh. So we can move to the next page. So that is page number 4. You can see a note has been given about the author Kushwant Singh. So Kushwant Singh is an Indian novelist and a lawyer. He studied at St. Stephen's College, Delhi, and King's College, London. He joined the Indian Foreign Service in 1947. As a writer, he is best known for his keen secularism, sarcasm, and love for poetry. He served as the editor of several literary and news magazines, as well as 2 newspapers. Kushwant Singh was awarded with Padma Bhushan in 1974. Padma Vibhushan by the Government of India. So he got all the biggest award of India. That is Padma Bhushan and Padma Vibhushan by the Government of India, and Sahitya Academy Fellowship by Sahitya Academy of India as well. The biggest award for writers that also he's got. Some other important works of Kushwant Singh are The Mark of Vishnu, A History of Sikhs, The Train to Pakistan, Success Mantra, We Indians and Death at My Doorstep are some of his brilliant works. So this is a short note about Kushwant Singh. He is a very popular Indian writer in English that we have to remember about Kushwant Singh. I think even you might have got an opportunity to learn about Kushwant Singh in any of your lessons in your previous classes as well. Okay, now straight away we can move to the lesson. So Kushwant Singh, if you have your textbook, you can take page number 1. So it's here. So here is a story that brings out the bond between the author and his loving grandmother. So as I told already, it is about a bond between this author and his grandmother. The moment we start learning this lesson, it will also give reminiscence about your own grandmother as well. Your early childhood. Many of you would have got an opportunity to spend with your grandmother. Some of them are very fortunate to be with your grandmother even till now, but some of them are a little unlucky, not to get an opportunity to be with your grandmother. So let us see what was the bond between this author and his grandmother. My grandmother, like everybody's grandmother, was an old woman. Of course, grandmother should always be old. We don't see a very young grandmother, a young girl, because it has never happened so far in this world. So a grandmother is someone who's very old. She had been old and wrinkled for 20 years that I had known her. So from the past 20 years, he can remember his grandmother. Before that, when he was a very little kid, he would have not remembered his grandmother, but he would have known some person is taking care of him. But here, in the past 20 years, he has known her. People said that she had once been young and pretty and even had a husband, but that was hard to believe. The author is telling, other people used to say, hey, here boy, once upon a time your grandmother was very good looking, very pretty. She also got married and she had a husband. They think. But the moment from his childhood, he remembers his grandmother only as a grandmother. And once when you become old, there'll be wrinkles in your face, and you can know the body also will stoop forward. When somebody says no, so when somebody says that, see, when I was young, I was a sports person. I used to run 100 meters. Really, he would have been an 100 meter sprinter. But when they get old, when they say this, you won't believe that. Likewise, when he heard that his grandmother was very young and pretty, she had a husband like that. He couldn't believe it at all. Of course, if she had not married, he would have not born. That he would have known very later. My grandfather's portrait, at the same time in his house, had the grandfather's portrait, picture of his grandfather hung above the mantelpiece in the drawing room. Mantelpiece, where that fireplace is there, where people used to warm themselves inside the house, and above that fireplace, one part will be there. That is the mantelpiece. There, the grandfather's portrait was hung. And how was his grandfather? He wore a big turban and big turban, and it was very loose. Turban, and he was wearing loose fitting clothes. His long white beard covered the best part of his chest. His complete, the chest was almost covered by his long beard. And he looked at least 100 years old. But when he looks at him, he looks very old. He looks as if he has become 100 years old. He did not look the sort of person who would have a wife or children. When he looked at his grandfather, for a moment he wondered, will anybody marry him? Will he have a wife? And will he have a children? Because he looked very old. What he thought, he will have grandchildren directly. He may not have a child at all. He looked as if he could only have lots and lots of grandchildren. But as for my grandmother, we'll go to the next page. But as for my grandmother, being young and pretty, but when compared to his grandfather, though grandmother is old, but still she had some qualities to be pretty. But being young and pretty, the thoughts was almost revolting. His thoughts was almost revolting. Can I trust that my grandmother had married this gentleman who looks very old? She often told us of the games she used to play as a child. And other than that, grandmother used to share many things with Khushwant Singh. And she used to tell about the games, which she used to play when she was a child, etc. That seemed quite absurd and undignified on her part. The moment he heard all this games and all, it looked absurd, illogical. How can they play a game like this? Because in modern times, when you think about the old games, now most of the old games which people were playing outdoors, people nowadays we have started playing everything in the mobile indoors. And to imagine that everything were played in outdoors, some games will be very interesting, something few games it looks very absurd, illogical. How did they play this game? So that is what was the thought which came to Khushwant Singh's mind, and undignified on her part, and we treated it like a fable of the prophet she used to tell us. And usually she used to tell many fables, many imaginary stories to entertain Khushwant Singh. So he took that game also as like a fable. Maybe in that story, a game would have been like that. An imaginary game was played like. He couldn't believe that was a real game at all. So grandmother was sharing all those things of her childhood days with Khushwant Singh. And he started to live with his grandmother. She had, so what sort of the character was her grandmother? You can see in the next paragraph there. She had always been short and fat and slightly bent. She has been short and fat and slightly bent. Now, this is the structure which we see every old person to be. Her face was a crisscross of wrinkles running from everywhere to everywhere. So since she was old, and there can be her face, you can see wrinkles everywhere, going crisscross, going from this side to that side. Everywhere there was some wrinkles running from everywhere to everywhere. No, we were certain that she had always been as we had known her. But he remembers her grandmother to be the same in the past 20 years. She was a grandmother. The face and appearance looked the same forever. He had never known her grandmother without wrinkles at all. So old, so terribly old that she could not have grown older and had stayed at the same age for 20 years. And he also thought, my grandmother, I don't think there is anything to grow older than this. So this is the part which looks very old. He thought she may not grow older than this. And he remembers that in the past 20 years, his grandmother was looking at the same posture or in the same look. She could never have been pretty, but she was always beautiful. And He couldn't imagine his grandmother would have been very pretty, but she had always been beautiful. A small difference between pretty and beautiful is beautiful can always, you can always be beautiful with your expressions. But pretty is something, no, when you look very young and charming, we used to say somebody as pretty. She hobbled. So, what was she doing in the house? She hobbled about the house in spotless white with one hand resting on her waist to balance her stoop and the other telling the beads of her rosary. Now, you can see in that picture. So, she used to wear white dress always, and she used to hobbled, that is walk unsteadily, walk unsteadily like this, keeping one hand on the hip because, you see old people walking like that about house in spotless white with one hand resting on her waist to balance her stoop and the other telling beads. Just you would have seen people telling beads, that one rosary like garland they will be having, and they'll be telling the beads like this. So that's what the grandmother is doing continuously. Actually, this author was living with his grandmother alone in her village because his father and mother were living in the town. For some reason, they wanted Khushwant Singh to grow with his grandmother for some time. So, next, her silver locks were scattered untidily over her pale, puckered face. So, a silver locks here he means that white grey hair which comes hanging, were scattered untidily, was not combed properly, were hanging over the pale, puckered face. Puckered here means face with wrinkles, full of wrinkles is called puckered face. Scattered untidily, that golden locks of her hair was falling on the face, which was not combed properly, and her lips constantly moved in inaudible prayer. So one thing which she did continuously always was she was taking that rosary, counting the beads, and she was always telling some prayers continuously. Not even a minute she rested. Always she kept on telling prayers. She was like the winter landscape in the mountains, an expanse of pure white serenity, breathing peace and contentment. So expanse here means widespread. She was like a snow-covered mountain. Peace, white in color, calmness, all the qualities which you see in a snow-covered mountain, that can be seen with his grandmother. Very calm, the entire peace which you require can be seen with his grandmother. We'll go to the next paragraph. So, how did his life move on with his grandmother? My grandmother and I were good friends. She was a very good friend with his grandmother. Mostly people, children move more closely than with their grandmother than with the mother because they'll be more kind, compared to the mother. I were good friends. My parents left me with her when they when they went to live in the city, and we were constantly together. So initially they all were living together in the village, but at some stage his parents wanted to go to the city, and they wanted to try and earn a living over there. So for some years till they get settled in that city, they wanted the grandmother and Khushwant Singh to be in that village. She used to wake me, we'll go to the next slide. She used to wake me up in the morning and get me ready for school. So every day in the morning she'll wake me up, and she'll ask me to be ready for school. She said her morning prayer in a monotonous sing-song while she bathed and dressed me in the hope that I would listen and get to know it by heart. So every day early in the morning she used to tell the morning prayer in a monotonous, a little bit boring was for Khushwant Singh because the same prayer was repeated. But why the grandmother repeated that prayer continuously is because she believed that that prayer will be grasped by Khushwant Singh, which some children do it, but here it was boring for Khushwant Singh. And when she bathed him, when she dressed him, she continuously told this prayer, but he was able to listen, but he didn't get it to by heart on his own. So I listened because I loved her voice but never bothered to learn it. But he loved the song because the grandmother's voice was very good, very nice, very sweet. She had a very good voice. So he enjoyed the voice, but he didn't try to understand the meaning of the song. Then she would fetch my wooden slate. Then she would take the wooden slate because he has to go to school, which she had already washed and plastered. She will wash the plate and because for writing, and she will plaster the yellow yellow chalk for writing after he goes to school. A tiny earthen ink pot and a red pen. And also she will put a in a tiny, made up of earth, that is mud, earth and ink pot, and a red color pen. That also she'll keep together. Then after that, that is never bothered to learn it. Then yellow chalk, red pen, tie them all in a bundle and hand it to me. She'll tie everything together. That is the slate, the yellow chalk, the earthen ink pot, the yellow chalk, red pen, everything together, and she'll give it to him and hand it to me. After a breakfast of a thick, then he'll have his breakfast, and most of the days his breakfast was a stale chapati. A stale chapati here, stale means not fresh, little bit musty, that dry chapati smell. That was a stale chapati with a little butter, and he will add little butter over there and sugar spread on the chapati. And we went to school, and the grandmother also accompanied him to school. She carried several stale chapatis. On the way to the school, she will take few stale chapatis with her in her hand for the village dogs, for all the village dogs which follow them while the grandmother and Khushwant Singh are going from their house to school. So on the way, she used to give chapatis to all the dogs on the way. And I think you understood till here. And now we'll move to the next paragraph. My grandmother always went to school with me because the school was attached to the temple. Why the grandmother went to the school always? Because she wanted to go to the temple. The school and the temple both were attached together. The priest taught us the alphabet and the morning prayer. And also in the school, the morning prayer and the alphabet of the language which is studied was taught by the priest of the temple. While the children sat in rows on either sides of the veranda singing the alphabet or prayer, they used to sit in line in a row in both the sides of the veranda, and they used to recite the morning prayer and the alphabet together. While the children sat in rows on either side of the veranda singing the alphabet of the prayer in a chorus, my grandmother sat inside reading the scriptures. What his grandmother will do at that time was she will go inside the temple, and she will be reading all the scriptures which are given there. When we both finished, that is when the grandmother finished reading the scripture, and when I finished my prayers and learning my alphabet, both finished together, we would walk back together. This time the village dogs would meet us at the temple door. This time the village dogs will come at the entrance again, at the temple door. They'll be waiting. They followed us to our home, growling and fighting with each other for the chapati we threw to them. And remaining chapatis which they had, they'll throw to the dogs while returning back. So this is how his days went in his early days went with his grandmother in his village. Now he is a little bit grown up. We'll go to the next paragraph. Now, when my parents were comfortably settled in the city, they sent for us. Now, the parents were comfortably settled in the city, and they wanted the grandmother and Khushwant Singh to come back to the city. So that was a turning point in our friendship. That friendship the bond between the grandmother and Khushwant Singh was tested there. That was a turning point in our friendship. Although we shared the same room in the city which they lived, they both shared the same room. My grandmother no longer came to school with me. After that, because once they came to city, grandmother didn't accompany him to school. The reason is I used to go to an English school, an English medium school, and in a motor bus, in a bus. So in school bus only school students will be taken. So grandmother couldn't accompany him to the school. There were no dogs in the streets, so she couldn't do something for the dogs in the streets because it's not a village here. There were no dogs in the streets, and she took to feeding sparrows in the courtyard of a city house. So what she did in the city was in front of the veranda, in the courtyard of the city home, she see numbers and numbers of sparrows coming to that place, and she started feeding the sparrows there. That's what the habit changed from dogs to sparrows here. As the years rolled by, we saw less. We'll go to the next page, page number 3. Okay, as the years rolled by, we saw less of each other. So he's busily going to school and returning back. So the meeting between the grandmother and the grandson, that bond is minimizing slowly but steadily. For sometimes she continued to wake me up and get me ready for school. Some days she will wake Khushwant Singh up early in the morning and make him and help him to get ready for school. When I came back, she would ask me what the teacher had taught me, and she will ask him also, what did the teacher teach you for you on that particular day? Neither. I would tell her English words, no, whatever he learned, because he's in an English medium school. I will tell all the English words which I learned and little things of Western science and learning, because in English medium schools mostly Western science is taught. Western science is taught, more than Indian science, because the research part of Western science is very popular, and you can find it in all the books. So I would tell her English words and little things of Western science and learning, like the law of gravity, Archimedes principle, the world being round, etc., etc. What are all the things which has been found by Western science? He used to tell all these things. This made her unhappy. She was not. She was a very traditional woman. She didn't trust in Western science that much, and that was also, it was in English, so she couldn't understand it that much easily. This made her unhappy. She could not help me with my lessons. She couldn't help me. She couldn't teach me or guide me with the lesson. She did not believe in the things they taught at the English school, and was distressed that there was no teaching about God and the scripture. The one particular thing what she thought was there should be some moral education. There should be something about God and and the scriptures, etc. Since that was not the grandmother was not interested in the syllabus which she was learning. So one day I announced that we were being given music lessons. Then I told that I've been given music lessons as well. No, that is not traditional music. The music which he's going to learn in English schools is entirely different. She said nothing, but a silence meant disapproval. From a silence, he understood that her disapproval, that she didn't like it. She rarely talked to me after that. So once she saw his grandson being very busy with his lessons, so he distanced herself from him, because the field in which he was going was not clear for her to understand. Now we'll move to the next paragraph. Now he is almost finished his school now. And when I went up to university, now he is going to university, is going to his college. There he happened to stay in a hostel. I was given a room of my own. Pardon me, not in the hostel, in the house. He was given a separate room in the house. When I went up to university, I was given a room of my own. I was given a separate room for myself. The common link of friendship was broken. Because so far he was living with his grandmother together, but once he started to go to his college, a separate room was given to him, and almost the friendship or the bond, the relationship between him and his grandmother was almost broken. My grandmother accepted her seclusion with resignation. She accepted the seclusion, that loneliness, with resignation. She herself resigned herself, and she accepted that. He's a young boy, he has his own ambition, he has his own work to do, and she accepted it and resigned from being with his grandson, and she accepted to be alone. She rarely left her spinning wheel to talk to anyone. So only one thing which she engaged herself was doing the spinning wheel. That's what she was doing throughout the day. To get away from that loneliness. From sunrise to sunset, she sat by her wheel spinning and reciting prayers. From sunrise to sunset, continuously she played the spinning wheel, and she used to tell her prayers continuously. Only in the afternoon alone she relaxed for a while to feed the sparrows, because that was the one thing which she started to do the moment she came to the city. For a while to feed the sparrows, while she sat in the veranda breaking the bread into little bits. She was breaking the bread into little bits. You can see that in the picture given in the textbook. Hundreds of little birds collected around her, creating a veritable bedlam of chirping. So she used to break all the breads and scatter it around the veranda, and hundreds of birds, especially sparrows, come and collected around her, creating a veritable bedlam. Bedlam here means noisy confusion, like veritable. It is veritable. It's emphasizing that. All the birds wanted, they all were fighting together, bedlam, in like a confusion. All the birds went here and there to get the bread which the which the grandmother scattered around. Some birds came and perched on her legs, sat on her legs, others on her shoulders, some even sat on her head. So that much close bond she was having with the sparrows. We'll go to the next side of this page. She smiled but never shooed them away. She was very happy. She didn't bother no when the sparrows were climbing on her head or on her shoulder. No, she just loved it. She never shooed them away. She never shooed them away. It used to be the happiest half an hour of the day for him. That a moment, no, when all the sparrows come and get the bread pieces, that was the happiest half an hour for this grandmother. Now Kushwant Singh was almost finishing his degree, and he's planning to do his higher studies abroad. When I decided to go abroad for further studies, I was sure my grandmother would be upset. I would be away for 5 years, and at her age, one could never tell. So he'll be almost be away for 5 years in a foreign country, and at her age, he knew that anything can happen. His grandmother might be no more. But my grandmother could. She was not even sentimental at that time. She was not sentimental of being emotional, of getting separated by his grandson, nothing like that. She came to leave me at the railway station, but did not talk or show any emotion. She said goodbye and just returned back. She didn't show any emotion. If at all she had also, she didn't show it outside. Her lips moved in prayer. That thing was going continuously. She was in complete prayer. Her mind was lost in prayer. Her mind was lost. She was always in prayer. Her fingers were busy telling the beads of that rosary garland. She was only counting the beads, telling the prayers. Silently, she kissed my forehead, and when I left, I cherished the most imprint as perhaps the last sign of physical contact between us. She gave a kiss on his forehead, and that imprints were on his forehead, and he thought that might be the last kiss he might be getting from his grandmother. But when he returned back, next para. But that was not so. After 5 years, I came back home and was met by her at the station, same railway station. After 5 years, he completed his studies and he returned back, and he was received by his grandmother. She did not look a day longer. The same grandmother whom he has seen before, several years before, the same grandmother, same appearance, she was standing at the railway station. She still had no time for words, and while she grasped me in her arms, I could hear her reciting her prayer. Even at that time, she was telling the same prayer which she used to tell. Even on the first day of my arrival, her happiest moments were with the sparrows. She had not left that habit of feeding the sparrows. First day, he still saw that his grandmother was happily spending her time with the sparrows, whom she fed longer and with frivolous rebukes, whom she was feeding with frivolous rebukes. Rebukes, I mean scolding. Frivolous is not a serious scolding. So likewise, she was scolding, come here. You both don't fight like that, like a human. No, she was treating the sparrows, and he understood that still that was the most happiest thing. She was still doing that. And in the evening, a change came over her. In that evening, a small change came over her. She did not pray for the first time. She did not pray. She collected the women of the neighborhood. She collected all the women in the neighborhood. She collected all of them and asked them to come to the house. Got an old drum, which they used to use for bhajan, for singing bhajan, and started to sing. For several hours, she thumped the sagging skins of the dilapidated drum. That is, she was sagging here means that is very weak. That drum, the leather on the other side was being very weak, and she was hitting the skin of the dilapidated, damaged drum, and sang of the homecoming of warriors. And she was singing a song about the homecoming of the warriors. The warriors who had gone to the battle, they'll be victorious and they'll come back home. So with that particular theme, she was singing the song. We had to pursue her to stop and avoid overstraining. She was singing for such a long time, and it looked beyond her limit. She was singing, so they wanted to stop her from overstraining. But that was the first time since I had known her that she did not pray. That was the first time I had known her. She was doing something without praying. The next morning, what happened? We'll see in the next paragraph. The next morning, she was taken ill. It was a mild fever, and the doctor told, we'll go to the last page. So there was a mild fever, and the doctor told us that it would go. But my grandmother thought differently. But the doctor said it is only an ordinary fever, it will go. But my grandmother thought differently. She knew something. It was not a normal fever. She told us that her end was near. She told us, say, I'm coming to my end. My days are over. She said that since only a few hours before the close of the last chapter of her life, she had omitted to pray. And she said that, see, just few hours before the end of my life, I had failed, or I had forgotten to do my prayer. She was not going to waste any more time talking to us. She was not going to waste any more time talking to us. She said, I don't want to waste any more time talking to us. I have reached to my end. We protested. We protested. No, don't tell like that. Grandma, don't tell like that. See, don't come to a conclusion like your days are over, something like that. But she ignored our protest. She lay peacefully in bed, praying and telling her beads. She ignored all of us. She went to her bed. She lay there peacefully and started praying and telling her beads. Even before we could suspect, her lips stopped moving and the rosary fell from her lifeless fingers. Slowly, the prayers were stopped. Even before we could suspect whether grandmother is alive or dead, her lips stopped moving and the rosary fell from the lifeless finger. That's why the life is gone. A peaceful pallor spread on her face, and we knew that she was dead. Pallor here, unhealthy, pale in color. Some face are pale in color, it will be healthy, but in a dead body, the face will be pale, but it will be unhealthy, pale. So we understood that she was dead. And now we move on to the last paragraph. We lifted her off the bed, and as is our customary, so we lifted her from the bed, and as it's our custom, we laid her on the ground and covered her with a red shroud. Red shroud, like a cloth, no, like a shawl, no, red color shawl. They covered her. She was in white sari as well, white cloth which the grandmother was wearing. After a few hours of mourning, people were mourning because it was a very big loss. Her presence was always there in the house. They were mourning. We left her alone to make arrangements for the funeral. Then they all left the grandmother and they all were doing some arrangements for a funeral. In the evening, we went to her room with a crude stretcher. We took a stretcher to the room to take her to be cremated, to take it to the cremation ground. They took the stretcher, put her on the stretcher, and they were carrying her. The sun was setting and had lit her room and veranda with a blaze of golden light. The sun was about to set, and that golden light was falling on her room, exactly on the courtyard. We stopped halfway in the courtyard. As they were carrying, they all stopped in the courtyard. Why? What happened? All over the veranda and in her room, right up to where she lay dead and stiff wrapped in that red shroud, till that place, thousands of sparrows sat scattered on the floor. Thousands of sparrows have come, not only the veranda, they come inside like a human being coming mourning for the death of somebody, like that. All the sparrows were crowded. Thousands of sparrows were crowded there. There was no chirping, no chirping. They didn't chirp at all. We felt sorry for the birds and my mother. They, not only the loss of the grandmother made them to mourn, but also looking at the pitiable reaction of the sparrows that gave more grief to the family members. There was no chirping. We felt sorry for the birds, and my mother fetched some bread for them. She broke it into little crumbs the way my grandmother used to and threw it to them. The sparrows took no notice of the bread. Then were never bothered about the bread at all. They didn't notice at all. When we carried my grandmother's corpse off, when they carried grandmother's dead body, they flew away quietly. All the birds flew away. Next morning, the sweeper swept the breadcrumbs into the dustbin. See, none of the birds ate that bread. They just left. Once the grandmother's corpse, dead body was taken, all the birds flew away and all the bread was swept by the sweeper next day morning. So, even birds also have the same kind of attachment like human beings. So, this is an example which has happened in his life. So, well, children, Kushwant Singh was reminiscing, isn't it? Was recollecting these golden moments with his grandmother. Even many of you would definitely had few moments with your grandmother, which would be flooding in your mind as well. So, this first lesson, the portrait of the lady, how special was his grandmother. So, like that, even in your life, there will be special persons. This lesson would have made you to recollect all the memories of your grandmother, and also it tells that real love and affection which the grandmother showed is the most valuable thing in the world. So, which is because even a bird can realize the love and affection which the grandmother has given. So, that is the moral of this lesson. As even we as human beings has to show love and affection not only to human beings but even to birds and animals as well. But let us first begin with human beings. Let us be very affectionate to our family members. Let us spend more time in understanding and knowing each and everyone in our home rather than spending more time in uh, mobiles and televisions as well. I hope all of you have enjoyed this lesson. I'll meet you all once again with yet another topic. Until then, this is your English master Saranit Chandra signing off.